All right, guys. Welcome back to No Filter MMA. This is your boy BJ, and of course, I am live. As you can see, my special guest right here. She's back. Leah Nidas Letson has returned to No Filter MMA. How you doing, Leah?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So Leah, let's talk about quarantine. Like, how has quarantine life been for Leah Letson?
Honestly, it has kind of been great because it hasn't really affected me that much because I've still been able to train and I'm lucky enough to have a whole gym in my basement, and we got some grappling mats, and my boyfriend's a fighter too, so we can train with each other. We can hold pads. So even when all the gyms were closed, I was still able to work out and train, as much as I could with my health issues.
So do you like beat him up? Like tell the truth. Like tell the truth,
I
Leah.
mean, he's still an amateur, so I definitely have more experience, but he's definitely way stronger than me. So
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
yeah,
Well, who better to help you get stronger, and
yeah.
get you back in and whatnot. So Leah, so you've been gone. You've been away from the sport for some time now. I think your last fight was against Julia Stoliarenko,
Yeah.
Tough finale. So, and I hadn't spoken to you, on a podcast since before you went on Tough. I know you were telling me like I got something big, but I can't say nothing, So it
Yeah.
is what it is. So first of all, tell me, how was the whole Tough thing? Like, how was that? I know it's been
Um.
a while.
Yeah. So I'm like, it's things that you're really happy you did it, but you probably wouldn't choose to do it again. Like it reminded me a lot of like a fight version and more of a fun version of boot camp, just because you're cut off from everyone else in civilization, and like you don't have radio, TV, internet. You don't have any communication with the outside world, really. You're just there filming the show, and people, when they're cooped up in the house like that, there tends to be like drama and stuff, and it just reminded me a lot of like boot camp, and then a little bit of deployment when you're away from home for that long without anyone else but the people in that vicinity. So for me, I was able to keep my cool the whole time because I knew what was happening. I knew what to expect. I'd been in similar situations before, but some of the other people, they really struggled being away from their friends and family for that long, and that tends to lead to some drama. So for me, it wasn't that bad, but for them, it was probably a lot tougher.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that isolated environment, that like being cut off from society environment. Like you of all people in that house should have thrived in that environment for sure.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I had I have a little pocket Bible that I keep with me. I took it with me to boot camp, and I took it with me on deployment, and took it with me to the Ultimate Fighter, and like that's the only like text you're allowed to have. You can't have a book or anything, so it has to be a religious text. So I brought my pocket Bible with me. I read over some of my favorite Bible passages, and it kind of got me through there. And then I had a journal and stuff too that I would write in when I got bored. Mostly the problem is you're bored sometimes because like between training and stuff, like you get really bored when there's no like TV or anything. Like you guys, like we came up with really creative ways to entertain ourselves, and I'm kind of sad that they didn't show some of that stuff on TV.
Yeah, I mean they ain't gonna show the good stuff. They gotta cut it down to an hour per episode or whatever.
Yeah.
So now coming off of that, going into that Stoliarenko fight, that was a good fight, Leah. Like that was for one, you had some tough fights in the Tough House. I mean, when you were
Yeah.
in there, you had the fight with B, then you lost to Macy Chasson. But that was the fight with Stoliarenko, and we all know that Stoliarenko likes to go to war. Like, and I didn't know that about her before she fought you, and I was like, God, Leah, that was like Leah had to fight that girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was it like fighting her? Like, was she as tough as she looks, or?
Yeah, she was definitely tough. Like obviously I didn't finish her, and I like to finish people, and it was awkward too because like we had just been teammates, so like, and I don't know, I usually the whole experience with the Ultimate Fighter was just awkward for me because normally before a fight, I don't like to acknowledge that my opponent even exists. Like they're not even a person to me until after the fight. After the fight, I'll be your friend, but before that, I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to acknowledge your existence. It's weird when you're on the Ultimate Fighter because you're living with people that you're going to be fighting, and it's a really awkward situation. And I feel like if you can get through that and fight them, then any other fight after that is way easier because it's less awkward, you know? So it was weird going into that fight because we had trained with each other, so we kind of knew what each other's habits were. And for me, that was my first official fight back after deployment, because the fights on the show are just they don't count on your actual record. So I know that I had some nerves going in there because that was my official UFC debut, and that was my first fight in a year and a half, and I put a lot of pressure on myself to try to do well, and she was really tough, and I'm just really happy that I was able to pull off that win. It meant a lot to me.
I remember before that fight, everybody was like, well, they were like, I don't think Leah Letson's going to want to stand with Julia. Julia can be really dangerous. I said, guys, wait, hold on. Wait a second now. Like, Leah Letson is black belt in Taekwondo, is that right?
3rd degree black belt, yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. 3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. I'm like, listen, Leah Letson can stand and play with anybody. And when that fight happened, what I saw was her really trying to she's really good at like quick submissions. She was trying to get you down, but you were like, no. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna stay here, and you picked her apart pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And then when you had beat her up, you took her down and you worked on top, you were landing body, head. I saw you, like, it was great. Like, you did great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I knew she was more of a jiu-jitsu girl, so I just tried to stay away from her submissions because I didn't want to end up getting caught in anything, like, I don't want to be beating her on the feet and then get caught in a stupid submission. So, like, I tried really hard to just keep it on the feet, and then we ended up going to the ground, but she had that guillotine on me, but it wasn't, like, I never felt in danger. I knew I was okay throughout the whole thing. That's why I kind of gave like a thumbs up. If you go back and watch the fight, you can see it. But other than that, I never really felt in danger. I just felt like I was a little rusty. Like, I had ring rust still. Like, I was a little frustrated with myself after that fight because I didn't get to showcase everything that I wanted to, because I had been working so hard for the last year and a half leading up to that fight, and I just wanted to showcase everything. And so, like, it kind of made me a little bit, I don't know, hesitant or whatever, because I was nervous and I wanted to showcase so much that I ended up not being able to showcase enough of what I wanted to. I wanted to really, like, end with a knockout or something. But all in all, I think I did pretty well for not fighting for a year and a half, and she's a tough girl. So, and we had already figured each other out, because we were training together for so long. Yeah. So that made it even tougher, because we knew what each other was going to do and what our strengths were and what our weaknesses were.
Well, you look great. I mean, for all of that, I mean, for you to say how you felt, you look great. I mean, the striking was very accurate. You were showing some power in there. You kind of wore down over I think the fact that she couldn't get you out of there, she couldn't really, she didn't have you, bleeding all over the octagon, which is normally how her fights go. You know, you were in there and you were answering every shot she threw with 2 shots of your own. So I felt like I felt like she was the one that was kind of questioning what was going on in that fight. Because, I mean, 3rd round, she was looking kind of lost.
Yeah. I mean, I'm my own worst critic, though. So, I'm like a perfectionist. So, like, when things don't go perfectly, which they never will in a fight, let's be honest, I'm always, like, hypercritical of myself. Like, oh, I should have done this, or I wish I would have done that,
Right.
That's like the perfectionist in me talking.
For sure. So, you on cloud 9. You win your UFC debut.
Yeah.
And everybody's talking Leah Letson. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Leah Letson came in from Invicta. She had that impressive win over Elizabeth Phillips. She was on the Tough House. You know what I'm saying? She comes into the UFC and she wins her official UFC debut. Mm-hmm. And then you had a couple of fights scheduled after that, you know what I'm saying? And then you weren't able to compete in those fights. After the fight with Stoliarenko, where did you start to know something was going on?
I knew, so for years, right, leading up to my UFC debut, each weight cut got harder and harder, and I hit a plateau even for the fight with Yulia, and I was struggling a lot, and I put myself into severe calorie deprivation to try to make weight for that fight. I ended up making weight just fine, but it finally took a toll on me after 6 years of overtraining and undereating for so long, and I had been in a fight camp for a year straight for that fight. Like, I came back from deployment and I put myself into fight camp, got signed by the UFC. I was supposed to fight Yana Kunitskaya, and that fell through. And then the UFC told me to stay ready, so I stayed in fight camp. And then they asked me to do the Ultimate Fighter show, so I stayed in fight camp for that. And then throughout the show, I was in fight camp. And then as soon as I got home from the show, I was in fight camp for Yulia. So just, I think that whole year of being in fight camp, on top of the fact that even in years prior, I was overtraining and undereating to try to make weight for fights, my body just shut down. Like, it was done. And I knew something was wrong when I started to try to fight or make weight for the fight. I was supposed to fight in Ottawa against Sarah Morris, and my weight was stuck at 170, which is high for me. I used to never walk around at 170. It was stuck there. I cut calories. I was working out like 6 to 8 times a day. It was crazy, and I still wasn't I wasn't able to lose any weight. And then I started to not be able to train. Like, I would train and then I would come home and fall asleep. Like, I knew something was wrong because I wasn't able to train at the level I used to train at. And I felt like I couldn't even think straight. Like, my brain wasn't even functioning properly. And I was extremely like hungry all the time, even after I had just eaten, and like trying to do calorie deprivation. And when you're starving all the time, like, it makes you really crabby. And like, I was in like this straight survival mode, and I knew, I was like, why am I so tired all the time? Why can I not even think straight? And I went to the doctor, and they found out that my thyroid function was extremely low. So I was on thyroid medication. I thought like maybe that would be it. That was the problem, right? There was a lot more to the puzzle than that. So I ended up finding it took me a while, but I found, my old strength and conditioning coach found a doctor on Instagram, actually, who specialized in thyroid disorders, and I messaged him. He's Dr. Eric Balkovich out of Pennsylvania, and we started working together in June of 2019. So he was running me through all sorts of lab work and tests, and it turns out like my body was so messed up. It was, my hormones were messed up, my gut biome was messed up, my thyroid was messed up, and my mitochondria were messed up. So my body was so messed up down to like the cellular level that I almost did permanent damage. And I would have, if I would have kept going the way I was, I would have put myself in the hospital with potential like organ failure and stuff. So it was some serious issues that I was dealing with. And it took a while to figure out just like how severe things were. It took a lot of testing. At first, like, we thought it was just my thyroid, and then we found out my hormones were messed up. And then after more tests, we found out like my gut biome was messed up. And then after more tests, we found the latest one this summer, we found out that my mitochondria were messed up, which was hopefully the last piece of the puzzle.
And that's your energy.
Yeah. That, like, so for people that don't know, the mitochondria is like the energy part of the cell. Like, that's what takes in your food, and like it processes it and changes into ATP, which is energy, right? So my body wasn't using any food as fuel. It was like storing it all, and it was using lactic acid and muscle as its fuel. So like my body was like eating itself basically. And there's a lot more science behind it. I'm sure like my doctor would be able to explain more. But basically, I did some serious damage to my body, and it's taken just over 2 years. One, I had to figure out everything that was wrong, and two, I had to slowly start healing myself. So for a while, I couldn't even train. And I'm just now getting back to being able to train again, because we didn't know how serious of an issue it really was. And it affected everything in my life. It affected my anxiety and my depression. Like, I've been dealing with a serious depression, not only because I haven't been able to fight, but also that's a side effect of thyroid problems.
You feel like crap.
yeah, I felt like crap all the time. And so my friends had noticed that I was different. And then lately my friends are like, you seem happy, you seem different. I'm like, yeah, I'm healing finally. Like, I figured out what was wrong with me, and like I'm actually fixing myself. And I've lost a lot of weight. I've lost probably, like, I'm back down into the 150s now. So from at my heaviest point, I was like 185, which I don't like to admit in public, but I'm just going to keep it honest with these people because they need to know what can happen to you if you overtrain and undereat. Like that, I was very, and it wasn't my fault. Like my body was just taking everything in because it was in starvation mode all the time. So it was just taking everything in and storing everything, and it wasn't able to burn fat at all. So now I'm actually able to, my metabolism's working again, and I'm actually able to burn fat and calories, and I can actually eat like a normal person. I'm actually eating more and training less, and I've lost so much weight. It's amazing. Like
you look like, I mean, you look toned, you look solid. Like I was like Leah's looking in, like she's looking jacked, you know what I'm saying? Like I saw you, you post pictures on your social media, and I'm like, okay, well, Leah's looking a whole lot healthier. So I mean, what were the steps that you had to take, like other than medication? What did you do as far as like what you were eating and stuff like that?
Well, first I had to increase the amount of what I was eating. Like I've always been pretty clean with my food and stuff. I eat very healthy. I actually eat a little bit less healthy now than I used to. Like I'll indulge with my friends sometimes with pizza or ice cream or whatever, but it's all in moderation. Whereas before I was like eating 800 calories at the most a day and training 6 times a day, and that was like the opposite of what I needed to do. So like normally you think, okay, cut more calories, work harder. That's like the old school mentality, right? Which is what I had and what my former coaches used to have, like, until they learned and until I learned that that's not always the best way to do it. So a lot of different supplements that I've been on is what's really been the key. It's all been natural supplements, and supplements take like a long time to kick in. Sometimes they take like 3 to 6 weeks, right? So I've had to be patient and wait for the supplements to kick in. And then I didn't really have to do too much. Like the weight just started falling off when my body started working properly again. Like that was the main problem. My body just wasn't functioning. And now that it is, like I can start training again, and I can slowly add in like 5 or 10 minutes more to my training regimen every single week. And I just got to go by my body. I have to listen to my body a lot more.
Yeah.
So I used to like just push myself to the max limit all the time. And now I'm like, okay, we got to train smarter, not harder. So I learned my lesson the hard way, unfortunately. But hopefully anyone listening to this will not make the same mistakes I did. Don't push yourself to that much. No one should ever train 6 times a day. 2 to 3 times max is what you need to do. And I've actually been out to the UFC Performance Institute, and I've been working with their people out there, the strength and conditioning coach and nutritionist and the sports science guys that they have out there. They're amazing. They use me as an example to other fighters on what not to do and what overtraining actually is, because it's funny, actually. O'Day went out there to get some tests done, and they're like, man, we have this fighter named Leah Letson, and she did all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, we know her. They're like, yeah, that's my teammate. So they actually use me as an example to other fighters, which is good. Like, I want to be used as an example so that no one else makes the same mistakes, because this has been the most miserable 2 years of my life. And I've learned a lot about my body and about science and like how everything works. And I've also grown a lot as a person, because it's taken a lot of patience, and I've learned to listen to my body more when it's telling me to slow down. So
it's kind of similar. I've seen where Macy Barber was talking about a lot of things, something similar to that happening to her. You know what I'm saying? Which is to why she quit cutting the 115. And I seen in the comments, people were like, yo, you need to check out, research what's going on with Leah Letson, because it sounds kind of similar.
Yeah.
Her insides were all messed up too when she was, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Actually, it's funny because Macy Barber, I can't remember why she was there. She came to Pura Vida one time, and she was like hitting mitts with one of the coaches. It was just like a one-time thing. She happened to be in the area or she stopped by. And she mentioned to me, because I was talking to her about my health issues, and she was like, yeah, the PI, they do all these metabolism tests and stuff, and you should go out there and get tested. And so it's because of her that I started being able to work with the PI. I didn't even know all of the resources available to me until she told me about them. So they've been a huge help with that. And every few months I try to go out there and get retested and see where I'm at. And the last time I went out there, the test results came back that my metabolism was actually functioning again. So at a normal level, which was the first time since in like probably several years that my metabolism was working again. So that, I mean, they've been helpful. And the UFC's been really patient with me, which I'm really thankful for. They could have cut me and been like, man, this girl's never coming back. But thankfully they've been patient, and they're waiting for me to get healthy again and tell them that I'm ready for a fight. And I am just praying to God that it happens this year. Like, I want this so bad. And like my passion for MMA has come back in full swing, just because, I mean, for a while I was so depressed. I was like, dude, do I even want to do this anymore?
Right.
This has almost killed me, you know? And then now that I'm healthy again, I'm like thinking clearly, and I'm falling in love with training again. And it's been amazing the past couple weeks. And this is all relatively recent where I've been feeling good and healthy again.
That's great to hear, Leah. You know, fighting is, one thing is fighting, but to hear that you're, that what you've been going through, and now that you're saying that, I feel better, I'm thinking clear, like, I'm just overall as a whole person just better. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's most important to hear here,
Yeah.
And I see that you've started teaching gun lessons.
Yeah.
You've taken a few vacations. You're smiling. You're enjoying the beach. You're having fun with your boyfriend. Talk to us about all of that.
So I actually recently just started my own business called Nidas Protection. And yeah, I thought you'd like the name. So I'm teaching concealed carry classes here in Wisconsin, and then I'm teaching beginner handgun classes, and I do private range training lessons and stuff too. And I'm super passionate about teaching. Like, that's another passion of mine. Like, I love teaching people, and I'm really good at it apparently, because everyone that's watched me teach is like, I can't believe you just started teaching this. It seems like you've been teaching it for years, and I've gotten 5-star reviews and stuff already. So I'm super excited about this new business, and I like helping people be able to defend themselves. Like, I think it's super important, and I think it's also really important that they know what kind of legal responsibility comes with that, because not many people know if you get into a self-defense situation, expect to be charged with a crime, I won't get into it too much, but like, there's a lot of legal stuff that you are liable for, and that people don't know and people don't expect when they actually use any sort of self-defense, not just deadly force. So I'm really happy about that. And then I went to Florida. I got to stay with my wrestling coach, Ben. His wife lives down there, and we got to stay down there, be my boyfriend. It was a nice little getaway. So yeah, I'm doing good right now.
Good to see you smiling and laughing, man. That's what we wanted to see. A couple comments in the comment section. CSH Combat Coach Shelton Harrison. I know that name's familiar to you. He said he healed himself years ago with a nutritionarian diet, whatever that means. He says, I know how you felt. Stamina MC says, London Collins, salute to Nidas, welcome back. Combo Breaker 99 is joining in. Robert Henry says, salute. So the love is starting to come into the chat for you, Leah, for sure. So walk us through the baby steps that you had to take when it comes to walking back into a gym and putting on a pair of gloves. Like, what were the baby steps that you had to take?
Well, it's been kind of messed up. So like, we didn't know about the mitochondria stuff until this summer, right? So I was still trying to train, and
with no energy.
Yeah. So I was just like, I was pushing myself to do it, but I, like, every time I would go to the gym, or I knew that I had to go to the gym, I would get almost like panic attacks. Like, my body was like shutting down. Like, it was like, no, don't do this. But I was like, I gotta do this, right? I gotta keep up with my training. So for a while I was like not doing anything. Like, I I was forcing myself to go to the gym for a while, and then I just got to the point where like I had no energy and I couldn't even get myself out of bed some days. It was like you know how people talk about depression where sometimes it's not just like being sad and crying, it's like you don't have the energy to do the most basic things. Like some days it was hard. It was an accomplishment to get a shower in. Like that's how little energy I had. And so I couldn't go to the gym for months, man. And then I started because I'm like very stubborn and determined. I went back to a couple different MMA practices, and like I would go and I would push myself, and then I would be dead for like a week, and I couldn't go and do anything for a week or two, and then I would go back and I would go 100%, and then it would be like the same thing. I was like, man, I was talking to my doctor. I was like, am I ever gonna be able to train again? What the heck's going on? And then we found out my mitochondria stuff, and then I had to cut back on training even more. And so I was just doing like one technique class a day. And even that, trying to do that a couple times a week was hard. And so I was like, I need to cut back even more. And then we found out, like, we did the mitochondria test again, and we're like, okay, right now your body can only handle 20 minutes at a time. And that was hard to hear because I'm like, what, 20 minutes? What's even the point, right?
Yeah, like
yeah. So, but I've been working with a sports psychologist, Mindlock. He's amazing. The name of his company is called Mindlock. He talked me through like how to get through that part, and he's like, I know 20 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, right? But you can do a warm up, and you can stretch for 10 minutes. Like you can do like a 5-minute warm up. You can stretch for 10 minutes. You can do your 20-minute workout, and then you can do a 5-minute cool down, and then you can do journaling for another 5 to 10 minutes. And then by then it's like 45 minutes to an hour you got, and it's not wasted time, right? So you're not driving to the gym to do 20 minutes of exercise. You're driving to the gym to do 45 minutes to an hour. We're just gonna like keep the pace low and just make sure that we do like the before and after stuff, all the tedious stuff that I don't like to do normally. I hate warming up. I hate stretching. I hate cooling down. I like literally detest those things. And normally I'm like, oh, I don't have time to journal, whatever. But now I've forced myself to slow down and do all those tedious things so that when I am back, like I'm going to be 100% better. Like I'm going to be totally new fighter. Like it's going to be amazing. And just paying attention to those small details. So now I've worked my way up to being able to do 30 minutes of exercise a day. And I'm hoping that each week I'll be able to add a couple more minutes and stuff. But I'm just trying not to push myself too much, because anytime I do that, I go backwards in progression. So the key is to just be patient and to continue to like slowly work back into actual training. And I'm talking like 30 minutes of like actual martial arts training. I also do some weightlifting and stuff on the side to build my strength and stuff back up. And that's low pace, low intensity. Like my heart rate doesn't get raised, so that's okay to do as well.
Yeah. So I know you want to work, and I know you want to put that time in the gym. You know, so the mental side of it, of you just knowing that, you know, this newfound connection that you have with your body. You know what I'm saying? When you're listening to your body and whatnot, do you think that all fighters should start to listen to their bodies? Like, you think that's a beneficial thing to, like, when your body says, yo, let's dial it back a little bit. You think that all fighters should be listening to that, you know, just for their bodily health, you know? This is a hard sport you guys are in.
Yeah, I think I wish more people would take this seriously, because this can happen to anyone. Like, obviously it's usually more females than males because our bodies are different. We can't train and cut weight like a man does. And I learned that the hard way as well. But any fighter, like if you're feeling burnt out and like you're overtraining, like you're doing damage to your body. You're taking years off of your career potentially. And not only that, like you have to have a life after fighting too. So if you destroy your body while you're fighting, like what are you going to do afterwards? Because you're only going to fight into your 30s, and I mean maybe early 40s if you're lucky. But yeah, you don't want to do unnecessary damage to yourself, because it's going to cause like permanent problems for you.
Yeah. So now that you're training, you're feeling better. How many, on a scale from 1 to 10, from where you were, how much better do you feel just physically, mentally, like just like how much better do you feel?
I feel like 100% better. Like I'm a 10 out of 10 now
That's
compared to
what we
where I
want to hear.
was. I
Yeah.
was like a negative 50 probably. Like, like there's no words to describe how terrible it was. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long journey, and it's still hard some days. Like some days I'm still very like I'm hard on myself, and I'm kicking myself for not figuring this stuff out sooner and not listening to my body sooner. But I'm trying to focus on the things that I can change, and that's what I'm doing right now and what I'm going to do in the future. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to training, and I'm just excited about the new and improved Leah that you're going to see in the cage, because I'm a totally different person now, like mentally and physically. I'm going to be different.
Oh. Stamina MC says she sounds clear-headed. I'm liking her energy. This is positive to see and hear. Yeah, man. You know, because you had a lot of momentum going there. You know, especially with the division and all this kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah,
people were speaking. Even Felicia Spencer was like, "Well, I want to fight Leah Letson." You know what I'm saying? Like before her last couple of fights, and everybody was like, "Well, what's going on with Leah?" So tell us, Leah, like, what's different? Well, what do you feel is going to be different when you come back, and which division, like, do you feel that you want to fight in? Like, where do you want to be when you do make that return?
Well, first I want to stay with featherweight just because I don't want to push my body too much with a hard weight cut right off the bat. Like I don't ever want to have a hard weight cut again, because I don't think my body can handle it. Doctors have told me if you have a hard weight cut again, that'll be your last weight cut ever. Like, so I think 145 is a good division for me to stay at for now. If the opportunity arises and my body cooperates and I can get to 35, eventually I would be willing to look at that option. But for right now, I'm going to try to stick with 145 as long as the UFC allows me to stay there. And as far as like seeing a different fighter, like my mentality is just totally different. Like I feel like I'm a lot more level-headed and like thinking clearly. You know, before it was just like I wanted to train all the time, and like I would listen to people when they would push me past my limits, and I'm listening to my body. So I don't care what a coach may or may not have to say about it. Like I am going to listen to my body because I don't want this to happen again, you know?
Yeah.
And no one is going to want victory more than me after going through all of this. I guarantee you, like there's no one that wants it more than me. No one has been through all of this stuff, not only with like this health issue, but like deployments and military stuff I've had to put my career on hold for. Like nobody wants this more than me. And like
even tough was like a,
yeah.
I mean, you know, I know you were happy to take that opportunity, but that even kind of got in the way of where you were going. You know what I'm saying? Like when I found out it was tough, I was like, tough? What? Like, no, man.
No. It was, everything happens for a reason. I'm a very firm believer in that, and it was good to get my name out there and get people to get to know me a little bit better. And it was a good experience. And like I said, going through that, after that, like fights are way easier than that because it's not awkward. You don't have to like live with the people you're gonna fight, and you don't have to work with strange coaches that you've never worked with before. You get your own camp, and it's just you get to be around your family and friends when you're training and stuff. So going through that made me even tougher of a fighter. So I'm glad that I did that. But now like I'm really freaking excited to get back to it because my mentality is just totally different, and my strengths and stuff are going to be a little bit different because I'm changing training camps as well.
Oh, okay. Okay, Leah dropping a little bit of bombs here tonight. But one thing before we get stuck, because everybody's already in the comment section, like talk about 145. I see Danielle Wolf. I see all kind of names in the comments. But anyways, this kind of brings me to, you know, just how it lines up, like what happened with Nicole Montano when she was supposed to defend against Valentina and she couldn't defend because the doctors were kind of saying the same thing, that you saying happened to you. You know, she cut weight 3 times in a row, and it messed up her metabolism. I mean, she said the same thing: thyroid, metabolism, the same type thing that goes on. You know, do you think that it could have been something similar to that? Because she was saying her weight cuts had started getting like pretty bad as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised if every female doesn't face this at some point, just because our bodies are designed different. And if we don't take that into consideration when we're cutting weight, like we can do damage to our body way easier than a male can. And a lot of people don't realize that. I didn't realize it. My coaches didn't realize it at the time. Like I was their first female fighter, so they were learning as we were going. You know,
Right.
it's not really anyone's fault, but like now that the science is starting to come out, like, hey, women are not the same as men as far as cutting weight. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if all females at some point face this kind of issue, because harsh weight cuts are so bad for us, and like it does make our body like kind of shut down. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if she was dealing with similar stuff or the exact same problems I was. I don't know if she had to take a 2-year off layoff.
For a while.
She was off for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe she was dealing with the same thing. Because it's been a long time, and it takes a while to heal from that, because it's so many issues that you have to fix, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, all right. Steph, I laughed a minute ago because I looked and I read Stem and MC's comment. He said, "Tell Leah we've got a nice softball waiting for her called Danielle Wolf." Like, like, bro, that is so crazy. Like, what do you think about that? Like, how do you feel, Leah, knowing that you had to fight, you had to go across multiple organizations to establish yourself and be taken seriously by the top organization? You had to go to Invicta and knock out somebody like Elizabeth Phillips to get that opportunity to fight in the UFC. How do you feel about them just giving this girl, you know, a contract with the UFC with one fight, and it was in the Contender Series?
I mean, it's a good opponent for me, so I don't care. It's going to work out pretty well for me, I think. So, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, just because someone has an easier path doesn't mean that it's good for them. Like, she might be ready for the UFC. I don't know. Like, I actually, to be honest, I didn't get to see that fight.
You didn't.
And she's, I actually think I trained with her before. When she was out at Alliance MMA, and I went out there back in like 2016 to train with Kat Zingano, and I got to train with her a little bit. So, I mean, she's tough, but like, the easiest path isn't always the best one, you know? So I'm kind of grateful for my adversity, because it's going to make me a better fighter and more tough and ready for that title fight eventually, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you couldn't fight when Felicia Spencer was like, you know, I want to fight Leah. I made a video about that. I said, you know, then I thought about it. I said, yo, that's a good fight. Like the Taekwondo backgrounds, like that's a good fight. Like, and then you know, so what do you feel about the landscape of 145 right now? And to be honest, Leah, and everyone in the comment section will agree with me, the division needs somebody like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, just to be 100% honest, they need somebody, because other than Megan and Felicia, I mean, I'm not trying to dog the rest of the girl, you know, and Amanda, of course, but nobody else is good. Like, we haven't seen Zara Dos Santos beat anybody. We haven't seen Danielle Wolf fight, and we haven't seen anything. So Norma Dumont went back down to 135, which I think she might come back up to 145.
Yeah.
So I mean, what do you? It's there for you. Like, you can get in there and mix it up.
Yeah. See, I'm pretty excited to get back, because like, I feel like the division is so small still, right? If I beat a couple of these tough girls, like, there's a title shot potential, like, pretty quickly, versus if I were to try to make 35, right, I might hurt my body. And then also there's a lot of tough girls in there, and that'll be a longer road to a title. So I'm pretty excited about the 145 division. I think that when I'm back to being healthy and I'm able to fight again, like I'm gonna shake up the division and I'm going for that title shot, you know, pretty quickly. So
probably, yeah, probably. So, like, I mean, how do you see this Felicia Spencer and Danielle Wolf thing playing out? Like, how do you see that even?
I mean, obviously, the money's on Felicia Spencer, just because she's got way more experience and she's a lot more well-rounded. I think. I honestly think Felicia Spencer is just gonna be able to take her down and just beat her on the ground. Because I mean, Danielle Wolf is a boxer, so like I don't see her having the grappling skills to beat Felicia Spencer. Like I think once it gets taken to the ground, I don't see it lasting too long. You know.
Leah, you would beat her up on the ground, and you know Felicia Spencer is she's like a high level. Like I'm not trying to say Felicia's better on the ground than you are, but she's a high level jujitsu. So we would like that's kind of her game. Like her game is to take girls down and submit them. You know what I'm saying? But you would beat her up on the ground. Like anybody would beat her up on the ground. Like it's just I just don't. I guess I'm just still like not understanding signing her, you know what I'm saying? I'm just not understanding it, Leah.
I don't know. I try not to talk bad about other fighters. I just think it's bad karma, you know. You talk bad about somebody, and then you're just gonna get knocked out, right? So like, I'm trying. I don't do that stuff, so I won't say too much. But I think that Felicia Spencer just has to take her to the ground, and it'll be pretty simple to submit her, because I don't think she has the ground game to compete with Felicia Spencer.
Yeah. So you're saying you feel like you could, I mean, you feel like possible 2021 return, you know what I'm saying? But even if that doesn't happen, even if it's 2022, Leah, you know what I'm saying? You know, I think I think the division still is in need of somebody young, somebody that can fight, you know what I'm saying? Get in there and mix it up with these girls. Man, these comments are crazy. Coach says, BJ, side question, ask Leah if Mr. Miyagi beats Chuck Norris.
I mean,
I think he does.
I don't know. That's a tough one because there's so many Chuck Norris jokes that like make him invincible. So how can I even say? I don't know. I think Mr. Miyagi would. I think he'd beat him. Yeah,
I think Miyagi would too.
Yeah.
Like, Mr. Miyagi is like Chuck Norris's kryptonite. Like it's only Miyagi that can beat him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Coach said, "Are you a Cobra Kai fan?"
I have not seen Cobra Kai. Sorry. Sorry.
I haven't either. Don't feel bad, Leah. Don't feel bad. So, what can we expect? I want to know moving forward. All right, we said it, 145 pounds. That's where Leah Letson's going to be at. Moving forward, when you do make your return, what should these featherweights expect from Leah Letson? Like as far as like in the cage, I'm talking in the cage.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win. So like, there's no way that anyone is going to be able to TKO me or submit. There's nothing that's gonna stop me. Like my mentality is so strong. Like I will win in any fashion that I can. If the knockout's there, I'll take it. If the TKO's there, I'm gonna take it. If there's a submission there, I'm gonna take it. And I'm gonna be working on my jiu-jitsu a lot. So I'm going to be pretty well-rounded everywhere, and I'll be comfortable no matter where the fight goes. So that they can just expect like the super strong mentality, and that's a lot of fighting. If you have the mentality that you're going to win no matter what, like it's almost impossible to beat that person. So yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And we're all excited, you know, like. And it's crazy because as long as you've been out, Leah, like as long as you've been away from the sport, the underground MMA community, we still have not stopped talking about Leah Letson. Like, I mean, I know you're kind of like, well, what did you have to say? But seriously, and the comment section will agree with it. When we're talking 145 pounds, we have yet to not say Leah Letson. We always say, well, you got Leah Letson floating around out there that she's going to be coming back soon. She's going to make her spot in this division. And I think that your return to the division is a lot more anticipated than you might think it is, Leah.
That makes me so happy to hear, because I thought that for sure, like, by now people would have forgotten about me. So it means a lot. No, like, seriously, it means a lot that you guys haven't forgotten about me. Like, that makes my day.
Yeah, like Combo Breaker 99 just says, yeah, we need Leah back. Yeah, we do, man. We do. Like, no lie. So do you want to tell us, Leah, like, where you're training?
Yeah, so I just a couple weeks ago, it's a pretty new transition. I started training at Wanderlei Jiu-Jitsu. Danielle Wanderlei, he's a 4th degree black belt world champion. He's gotten a ton of like medals and stuff in jiu-jitsu. And then he recently opened a gym in the Milwaukee area. And then Joe Nichols is the striking coach. He used to be a striking coach at Rufus Sport. Both of them left Rufus Sport and started their own gym. And it was just like the perfect opportunity for me to go there and just be able to learn some more skills from different people and get myself to be a little bit more well-rounded. So I was like,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
This is your career you were talking about.
Yeah. So like nothing, there was no like bad blood or anything. It's just like I wanted to try something new, you know? And I think this is going to be really good for my fight game. So I'm so excited to be working with them. And I've already learned a lot just training with them the last couple of weeks. So I'm excited for my return.
And I know you still love Pura Vida.
Oh yeah,
like, that's your home for sure. Yeah. You know, you're just getting some looks.
Yeah, sure. Like they got me to where I am, so like you know, I will always have love for Pura Vida. You know.
Absolutely. Comment section says, ask Leah, what does she do to stay zen in those non-fight, non-training parts of her day? How does she not let all of that stuff take over her life? Done.
Yeah, it's been tough. I've been working with some therapists and stuff too, like my sports psychologist, and then I have a therapist at the veterans hospital, and they've helped me stay grounded, and they work on different mental exercises, mostly focusing on mindfulness and like staying in the moment and focusing on the things I can control and not the things that I can't control. Because a lot of times when you're stressed out, you think about all these things that you can't control or things in the future, and like you just got to bring yourself back to present and focus on, okay, what can I control right now in this moment?
Yeah.
It's been tough. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like I've struggled a lot mentally with all of the things going on, and it's been a long road. But like the therapy with the VA and the therapy with the sports psychology has really helped me stay grounded.
Yeah. He says, Stamina says, has she been able to get any assistance or consultation on health matters from the team at the Performance Institute? Stamina, I think you missed that part of it earlier. She talked about going to the PI, and the PI, like her being sort of like a guinea pig for the PI, and her being the example of, you know, like telling fighters like, hey, we got a fighter on the roster that this happened to. Like, don't do this. Like, don't do this.
Yeah. I'm like the poster child for overtraining now, you know? Yeah, the PI has been great. They helped me out. They send me supplements, and I go out there every few months and get checked up on, and I work with them pretty closely. So,
yeah. Well, Leah, if you want to give a shout out to your new coaches and whatever, then you can go ahead and do that. We're going to shut this thing down.
All right. I definitely want to shout out to Danielle Wanderlei and Joe Nichols for working with me the past couple of weeks and being understanding with my health issues, and just teaching me so much and getting me to fall back in love with the sport again. And obviously, I still have the same wrestling coach, Coach Ben Tomes. He's always been there for me, and he's been amazing. He comes over and works with me all the time for free, so he's been amazing. I gotta give him so much love. He's like my best friend, man. He's awesome.
Heck yeah, absolutely. Yeah, guys. So you heard it straight from Leah, Nidas, Letson, guys. You heard it straight from her mouth. And be anticipating a return from Nidas. She will be coming back to the octagon sooner than you think, guys. She's still on her road to recovery. So, and Leah, just want to let you know, the underground world, we love Leah Letson, man. Like, we definitely love Leah Letson. and we're gonna talk about Leah Letson all day long.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you guys for all the support.
Hey guys, I don't know if y'all watching. I didn't know if y'all heard it earlier, but Leah beats up her boyfriend in training. You know what I'm saying? Like, she beats him up, she tosses him around, and then she goes and she takes pictures with him and makes it like, oh, you know, we're this great couple. But she's been beating him up profusely in training.
That's not what I said. We actually don't spar because I get too competitive. So it's just better that we just hold pads for each other.
Okay. He had enough. Yeah, he had enough. But yeah, guys, Leah, let everybody know where they can find you on social media, and we're gonna close this thing out.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Leah Nidas MMA, and then on Facebook, I think it's Leah Nidas MMA as well. So please follow me.
Yeah, you guys heard it. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Leah, let me get that drop before we go. I want to hear this is Leah Nidas Letson, and you are live with No Filter MMA.
This is Leah Nidas Letson, and you are live with No Filter MMA.
Woo, we did it! We did it! All right, Paul, hit that like button. Hit that dislike button. No, don't hit the dislike button this time. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button, guys, and we are up out of here. Peace out, Leah, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, bye. You guys heard it here. Leah Nidas Letson.